You want to grow your list, and bundles seem like a great option. But are they all they're cracked up to be? I'm sharing the pros and cons of bundles, plus what to do if you decide to participate in one and what to avoid.
Being an online business owner is full of ups and downs. Some days you can't imagine going back to your 9 to 5, and other days you want to burn your whole business to the ground. We get it.
Welcome to Chaos to Conversions, a podcast of practical, no BS strategies to grow your online business. Each week, we're chatting about launching, copywriting, mindset, and more, so you can make sense of the chaos and do more of what works.
Join the conversation and let's grow together.
Welcome back to Chaos to Conversions. I'm excited to talk about this today because for a long time in my business, I really didn't use bundles a ton. I participated in a few bundles here and there, but to be quite honest with you, I don't feel like I utilize them very well. And when I say I don't think I utilize them very well, I know I didn't. And so I made a big effort this year, as in 2025 so far, to correct that and to make them benefit me and my business a lot more. However, I know there's some mixed reviews, mixed opinions out there about bundles, right? Some people say they're really great. It's a very quick way or quicker way to grow your list, and I agree. And on the opposite side, it's like, well, are you really bringing in great subscribers? Are they engaged? Are they people who even want to buy from you? And I agree with that too. There's definitely some questions. So that's why I want to talk about the pros and cons to let you make the best decision for your business. And if you do decide to use bundles, how to do them effectively, or at least more effectively, right? And what to avoid. So yeah, first I want to start with, if you missed it, I announced recently on Instagram and inside my email list that I'm pregnant. I am expecting my first baby, a baby boy, in September, and I'm really excited. So with that in mind, I have really pivoted my 2025 plans to focusing a lot on visibility, getting out there in front of new audiences and new people, and growing my list. I really want my list to work for me like it has never worked for me before. And obviously, being in email marketing, I love email, and I've always wanted my email list to be the primary place that I sell. But I really focused so much of my energy the past couple of years on just helping clients. And so I would consistently email my list, but I wasn't always great at consistently growing my list. And so I was like, this is a year I'm finally doing this. I'm tired of saying I'm going to grow it. I'm going to actually grow it. So I'm hoping I can come on here and share some more experiences like this one with you about what I've been doing and what's worked and what hasn't. But anyways, so one of the things that I did amongst many things that I've been doing so far in 2025 to grow my list is joining bundles. I think at the time of this recording, I've joined 3 so far in 2025. So I'm bringing that experience with you, and also some things that I've learned from a membership that I joined, which I definitely will plug in here if you want to check it out. I'm not like affiliated with her or anything. Obviously, I'm in her membership and I just have really enjoyed it. So anyways, like I said, in the past, I haven't used bundles that effectively. And so I kind of want to dive into my personal experience and what I have kind of learned in this process of trying some different strategies. So let's jump into the pros and cons. The pros of joining bundles, the really big one is fast list growth for sure. And when I say fast, like quote unquote, this obviously is going to depend on the size of the bundle that you're joining, how big of an audience that it's reaching. And I mean, size is like how many people are contributing to it, like what their audience sizes are, how committed they are to promoting the bundle. And also, fast could mean different things for different people. For me, I wasn't growing by like hundreds of people every day on my list. I have clients who are growing by a pretty great amount every day on their list. Typically, they're running ads and doing a lot of visibility work in their business and have pretty large lists. For me, that wasn't the case. I'm not running ads or anything like that to my business. So I was like getting, subscribers here and there throughout the week, but it wasn't a big chunk of people. And so fast growth for me was participating in these bundles and getting, 70 people in a week, getting 150 people in a week. That was pretty fast growth for me. But again, that may not be fast for you. And like I said, every bundle is going to grow or bring in a different amount of people. Obviously, another big pro to bundles is that you are reaching new audiences. So in the last couple of years, I've been very much in the teacher space. I have almost exclusively, and not necessarily on purpose, like only worked with teachers. I've worked with a couple people outside of the teaching space, like in real estate and like in social media and things like that. But a lot of my clients have been teachers or former teachers, which makes sense because I used to be a teacher. I mean, I still technically have a TPT store, but I don't create products, but I used to like, that was the primary focus of my business. So that made sense. And then referrals were often to other teachers. So, anyways, all that is to say is that I love working with teachers and former teachers, but I'm not like opposed to also working with other people. So, being in bundles allowed me to reach new types of businesses and new business owners, and just again, expand my reach and visibility. Another pro to bundles is that they can be a great boost if you are planning on doing some sort of launch or promotion and you want to kind of fill your list with fresh leads right before a launch. That's always kind of like a nice way, again, to get a little boost in and have some new people to promote your resources to, your offers to, and all of that. So in March alone, I was in 2 bundles and I grew my list by a little over 200 people. But then comes the cons with bundles, right? So one of the big ones is unengaged subscribers. So I may have brought in 200 new subscribers to my list, but that does not mean that these are really engaged subscribers. Very likely they are on the more, well, they are definitely on the cold side, but they're probably more on the unengaged side, even though I had a welcome sequence that they're going through, even though they signed up for my freebie, which is another kind of thing I would recommend when choosing a bundle is that you don't do a bundle where like everyone is selecting in to get all the resources downloaded at once and then you get like a list of emails. I really recommend like they sign up for the host bundle and they get access to a page where they individually sign up for resources. That's the ones I participated in. I don't think a lot of people really do like the one big chunk of email list kind of thing anymore, where it's like, again, you sign in one place and you get all those emails because that's like super, super cold, unengaged people. But anyways, just because they signed up for my individual thing does not mean that they're that engaged because who knows how many other things they were signing up for. Some of the bundles I've participated in so far in 2025 have had like 50 plus people in them. And I've even gone into a lot of the free ones and downloaded resources. I was like, I might be interested in this at some point, downloaded a bunch of them and then put them in a folder to look at later. So obviously I'm a pretty cold, unengaged subscriber for those people. And a good amount of people I'm willing to bet of those 200 that I brought in are cold and unengaged. So that is a big con, is that just because you're bringing people on your list doesn't mean that they're like ready to buy or that they know who you are or that they're really going to benefit your business in any way. Sure, there may be some in there that do. Probably a good chunk of them you're going to need to do a lot of nurturing, a lot of warming to get them to that place. And a lot of that has to do with kind of the other con, which is overwhelmed inboxes. When people are signing up for a ton of things at once, they're hitting a lot of different email lists at once, which means let's say they sign up for 15 freebies, they're going through 15 welcome sequences, most likely at one time. It's a lot. They're very unlikely sitting there and reading every single email that comes in their inbox. When, again, I was signing up for a lot of the free stuff and it was coming to me, I would kind of browse through some of the emails that were coming through. And by the end of like a week, the people that I kind of felt like I knew who they were and I was kind of interested in their resource or their topic that they typically talk about, I kept some of those around, but the ones who I was like really confused by their emails, it wasn't really like clear in the first couple of lines what they're trying to talk to me about. I ended up just unsubscribing from a lot of those people because it was getting super overwhelming inside my inbox. Like my promotions box every day was stuffed with emails because some people were sending like multiple emails a day and it was just a lot. So that is kind of one of the really big cons to bundles. Another thing is just wrong fit people. And I think this can mean wrong fit in a lot of ways. Wrong fit, like they are just looking for freebies and they have no intention of buying anything. That's probably what a lot of us are going to be. If we're being quite honest, I'm not downloading 15 freebies and then planning on going and buying 15 things from people, especially since a lot of them are selling stuff that are hundreds and thousands of dollars, right? Like that's not what I'm going to do. So I am probably a wrong fit person for them because I am very cold and unengaged and uninterested. And it could just be also wrong fit, like depending on the type of people that are in your bundle, who their audience is. So, for example, one of the bundles I participated in was an email marketing bundle. So it was very specific that everyone who was giving something to this bundle, they had something to do with email marketing. So these were going to be more right fit people. They, in some way, were interested in growing their email list, making email marketing easier for themselves, whatever that might be. Those are probably pretty good fit people for my list. There was another bundle that I participated in where it was a big Mod Podge of people. And there were like launch people, there are people who do productivity, there are people talking about AI. I mean, it was huge. Like the variety of people that could have come into my list from that bundle was very large, like a very large spectrum. So with that in mind, that was probably a lot more wrong fit people who were coming onto my list. I participated in that bundle for other reasons, and like I'm still happy that I did it. But I also knew going into it that I'm like, I may get people on my list who are just like not a good fit for me. So again, that's a possible con. The other thing is kind of screwing up with your metrics. So, when we're bringing a lot of people on our list at once and they are more unengaged and cold, and we're going to have to do a lot of nurturing to get them to a warmer place, to make them aware of who we are, because all they've done so far is just opt into a random freebie. They don't really know us. We may have our open and our click rates take a hit for a bit. You may notice that as you're sending your weekly emails like normal, that, yeah, it's just not as high as it normally would be. And hopefully over time, some of those people will filter themselves out by unsubscribing. If not, then we'll have to go in and delete them as subscribers down the road when we've seen that they've gotten cold. But just something to think about. You also definitely want to make sure that you have your compliance, like email compliance, set up where you have your domain and everything, like where you have it verified, right? That you aren't spam and that you're kind of meeting those email deliverability rules. So you want to make sure, obviously, that's in place before you're bringing a ton of people on your list, because if not, that can end up screwing with your email marketing. You don't even have to bring a ton of people on your list for that to be screwing with email marketing. You should be following email deliverability guidelines and things like that in general. But yeah, definitely bringing a bunch of people on your list and then them not engaging very well can affect your email deliverability, because Google might go, okay, why all of a sudden are people not clicking on your stuff? Is that because you're spam? Just something to look out for and kind of monitor when you are growing your list at a pretty big pace, kind of like a big leap. Just you want to make sure that you're using the Postmaster tools and monitoring your spam rate and monitoring that deliverability and getting rid of any people who look like they may just be really cold. Okay, let's talk about the do's and don'ts. So maybe you heard all that and you were like, why would I ever want to do a bundle? Not Branda, you made it seem horrible. I really do think that there actually is, like I said, benefits to doing bundles. I've done them myself. I do think that it's not something I would rely on as your only list growth strategy. 100%. I would not do that. I don't think that's smart, because I do think that you'll have a list that's just not performing how you want it to. But again, if you're just looking to get out in like a new space, like maybe you're pivoting your niche or you're trying to get in front of new people, I do think bundles can be helpful with that. But I do think you should use them sparingly. I would not do multiple bundles like I did in March again, like on repeat. I don't plan on doing another bundle for a month or two, if not even longer. I don't even know that I have any on my list like that I plan on doing right now. It just happened that two bundles were in the same month. That's why I did them kind of back to back like that. But anyways, I do think the bundles could be useful, and I do think that's something that you might want to try. And so let's talk about what you do want to do when you participate in a bundle and when you want to avoid. So I'm going to start with the don'ts. You don't want to join bundles that don't match your niche. So for example, if your audience is teachers, right? You probably don't want to build, or specifically like ELA teachers. You don't want to join a bundle that's for like PE teachers or math teachers, unless, of course, like I said, you plan on doing some sort of pivot with your business, with your resources, or with your audience. This kind of goes back to the bundle I was talking about that I did earlier. And you might be like, well, you did that, Branda. You joined a bundle that didn't match your niche. Because I joined one that I knew I might bring some people on that weren't a right fit for me. However, it did match my niche in that every single person coming through that bundle and every single person promoting stuff, it was business to business. So we're talking to other business owners and entrepreneurs, and that's who I do want on my list. And again, I wanted to expand my reach to just business owners in different niches. So for me, that did match my goals. But if you have a very specific audience that you're trying to either stick with or get into, you want to make sure that bundle matches. You also don't want to wing it. I used to do this very badly with the bundles that I did in the past. I would join a bundle. I would just like throw my freebie out there and be like, here's my freebie. Okay, I'm going to send the list, or I'm going to send the email rather that I'm required to send for this bundle. And that was kind of all I did. I didn't like set up any welcome sequences for it. I didn't plan anything strategically for these people who were coming into my list. I didn't tag them. And I'll talk more about this in a second. I just didn't have a plan. And that was not great because as I've already talked about, we already know that these people are coming on are very cold. So you need to have some sort of set up in place to nurture them and try to bring them into awareness of your business. And so I think there are some very specific things that you can do for that. I also think it's important to be keeping track of who came in through different bundles for a few reasons. A, so you can know how the performance went. Like, is it worth joining this bundle again in the future? But also because by keeping track of the people who came in through there, you can see like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days down the line, how engaged are these people? Are they clicking on things? Are they still even hanging around? It can just really give you an idea of like the health of the people that came in, like the subscriber health, not their physical health. Let's talk about the do's. So, one thing that I do recommend when you're participating in a bundle is that you create a unique sequence for each bundle. And I don't mean that you need to go and write a sequence for every single bundle that you participate in, but I do recommend having a specific sequence. So, let me give you an example. One of the bundles that I participated in, I was giving away one of my welcome sequence swipe files. And so I had a sequence that I would use for one of my welcome sequence lead magnets. And so I went in and I created a template out of this sequence because I use that welcome sequence white file a lot in the different bundles that I participate in. So I was like, okay, let me make this easier on myself. I'm going to go in to the sequence I already have, this welcome sequence that I already have. I'm going to adjust it. I might move a couple things around so that it fits the fact that I'm not giving them a freebie, right? Like this lead magnet anymore, but they like downloaded a product that was originally a paid product. I added a few emails on the back end to promote my membership, the Copy Huddle. So I did make some tweaks to it, but I probably spent maybe an hour making a tweak. And then I saved it into ConvertKit as a template, like I named it that. Like I said, like template for welcome sequence swipe file. So now, anytime that I participate in a bundle with this welcome sequence swipe file, I can go in, make a copy of this sequence, and then again, adjust it as needed for the specific bundle that I'm participating in and attach that on the back end. So I do have a unique sequence. And the purpose of this is a couple of things. Number one, we've talked about them being cold people that we're bringing in. So we want to try to warm them up, make them aware of our business. We do want to promote some of our offers and see if it is something that they're interested in. And this will hopefully, having this sequence will hopefully make them more likely to become an engaged subscriber, down the line. Again, we've talked about this. They are coming into a lot of different sequences at this point. So our sequence may not capture their attention, very likely will not capture their attention as well as if they'd like signed up for one of our freebies. But we're still going to give it our best shot at engaging them so that we can hopefully add some warm, interested people to our list. I do also want to say that creating a unique sequence for each bundle in this template idea is not mine. This is something that I actually learned from a membership that I'm in, the Social Media Detox. If you're interested in that, she basically like gives you different strategies for participating in bundles and summits and podcasts, like guesting. And she also helps you like find different places to guest and different bundles to participate in. So that's something I recently joined, and that was like a big aha moment for me to go, oh, right, I can make these so much better and so much more beneficial for me. Another thing that I recommend doing is using a unique tag for each person who comes in. So again, another example, if let's say a bundle that I participated in was the amazing email marketing bundle, then I would create a tag that inside of ConvertKit, whenever they download that freebie from the bundle, they get tagged as the amazing email marketing bundle. So then I can go through and see how many of those people are still on my list a month from now, how many subscribers I got from this bundle, like the health of the subscribers. I can also eliminate them from specific emails that I don't want to send out. So I was sending out a couple of weekly emails while they were still inside of the welcome sequence, or at least a lot of the people were. And so I would exclude them from those weekly emails so they weren't getting kind of double duty inside of the inbox. Another thing that I changed, and this one inside of that unique sequence that I was talking about just a second ago, is I introduced myself in every single email. The reality is that these people don't know who we are, or it's very likely that they don't know who we are. And again, they're getting a ton of different people in their inbox right now. And so I made a few adjustments to that sequence, like I talked about earlier, to keep them aware and like make them more aware of who I am. So for example, the top of each email inside of that sequence, I had a little line that would say something like, you're getting this email because you were in the Amazing Email Marketing Bundle, or you grabbed a freebie from the Amazing Email Marketing Bundle. And I guess it would more say you grabbed a welcome sequence swipe file from the Amazing Email Marketing Bundle. I also participated in a summit in March as well. And so I had like a sentence in there. It was Spring Fling. So whenever they grabbed a freebie, it said, you were receiving this email because you grabbed the Bomb AF Lead Magnet Guide during Spring Fling. So when they get this, they're not like, who is this? Is this spam? It kind of puts the email into context for them. So again, they realize they did opt into this. And then at the bottom of that email, I had a little box. So it was separate. It wasn't necessarily part of the email itself. It was just like a separate section at the bottom, but it said, hey, I'm Branda. And then it gave like a little 3 sentences or so reminding them who I am. And it has a picture. So if they are getting this email, or maybe they haven't seen like the first 2 in the sequence, or they're still just getting used to who I am in their inbox because they have a ton of emails coming in right now, hopefully as they're reading through this and they see that sentence and then they see the introduction, they begin to get familiar with me. That is the purpose of those things. Another thing that I do recommend doing when you're participating in bundles is to check in on your sequence stats. So this would be that unique sequence that you created for each bundle, because hopefully you create like a little template sequence, then you go in and you make a copy and you label it as the name of that bundle. So everyone who goes to the Amazing Email Marketing Bundle or grabs your, freebie or whatever from that bundle, they're going through that sequence. So then a month or 2 down the line, you can go in and check the stats on that and see what people were clicking, what they're opening, like what the stats were looking like there. Again, the stats are not going to be as great as a regular welcome sequence, but it still is interesting to see because you may be able to compare across bundles and see, when you're deciding in the future, do I want to participate in the Amazing Email Marketing Bundle next year if they invite me to come back or if they're doing it again? I'm going to go and look at the stats. If I only had 12 people come on my list and it had like a 1% click rate across a sequence, I don't know that was super effective for me. Or I'm going and looking at the tag a month later and they've all unsubscribed. That's probably not very effective, right? That wasn't really worth my time. But if I had 100 people on my list and the stats looked pretty good and I did retain some of those people for months to come, then yeah, that might be worth me participating in again. Those sequence stats can also just help you with adjusting your messaging and things like that inside of that unique sequence that you created for future bundles. So again, it can just help you make improvements so that every bundle that you participate in is as effective as possible because they are time consuming. That is the reality of it. It does take time to put all the stuff together. I want to go through just a quick recap on some of the things that we've talked about in today's episode. So first, we've talked about just how bundles can grow your list fast, but you want to make sure that you do them right. You want to avoid joining, bad fit bundles. You want to have a plan. You want to be tracking your results. There are definitely some things that you want to be doing when you join these bundles to make sure they are as effective as possible. Because if not, if you've done them like how I've done them in the past and you're just throwing things together, you're just going to be bringing a lot of cold people on your list who could be hurting your metrics and your performance and ultimately taking up space that don't need to be there. If you need help creating a welcome sequence or even revamping a welcome sequence that you have, I can help you with my done for you welcome sequence package. I will leave a link to that in the show notes. If you also want someone to help you with bundles and email growth, someone to look over your sequence, that is great for my Done With You program, the Copy Huddle. It's a membership where every single week you have a chance to submit an audit. So I'll look over a piece of copy for you. And then throughout the month, we will be chatting in Q&A sessions with different challenges and inside of Slack to talk about different copy struggles and challenges you may be facing or things you have questions on. So again, that could be email list growth, bundles, and so much more. I will have the link for that in the show notes as well. Thanks so much for joining the conversation today. If you want to learn more about how we can work together on email marketing, launch copy, or content planning, head to therelevantcollective.com. I'll meet you back here next Tuesday for more practical strategies to take your business from chaos to conversions.